Hey YouTube, it's another Commodore 64 repair video, yeah! Okay, so don't look too bad, there's no power supply. It's a bread bin, it's pretty scrubby. Missing the middle screw there. That's the serial number. Now, this may well have been out of a loft by the look of it. So taking the board out, which I did very gently, some of these have actually disintegrated. I've still got them here. So we'll reattach those. This one's about to go. The underside of the board itself looks pretty good. There's no bodge wires. Oh yeah, that gives you an idea of the magnitude of the filth that we're dealing with here. Okay, so by no means finished, but a lot better. So while I've got the board out, just measuring some capacitances on those, I'm going to spray some contact cleaner in the switch and in these sockets. Before I put any power into this, even though I've lifted these two sort of rare chips, I want to make sure that this regulator is good and this regulator is good. These two regulators basically supply power, I believe, to the VIC and the SID. So it pays to make sure that they're behaving, because if they're not behaving, they could damage something in here. Okay, so it's just as well I did lift that, because that is a 7805 regulator and it's putting out 6¼ volts. So there is a good chance the VIC's been damaged, the SID may have been damaged, and some of the circuit around the VIC has been damaged. But we will find out. But that regulator is definitely going in the bin. So I've just fished through my little box of regulators. That's a brand new one, 4.98. So given what that was putting out, I'm now going to check this one. So it's a bit difficult to do with this with the phone, but I'm just checking I've got the correct voltages for the VIC2 chip. So 12, which is the bottom is ground, and then the 8th one up there is 12 volts. And then the two opposite corners like that should be 5 volts. And for the SID socket, the two opposite ones should show 12 volts. And then 4 down from the right at the top should show 5 volts. And then I just tested it on the bottom left and top right corner of one of the RAM chips, and that's 4.7-ish volts. So it looks like the voltages are present and correct-ish. What I'm now going to do is take the two chips that I took out before powering the board and see if they work in a test bench. So this is first power up with that VIC, and it works. Okay, so now I know that the VIC2's working. I've given it its own comedy heatsink, and we've tried a dead test cart. It appears we have a working system. Now, there's no SID in there. So that's pretty much fully working system. So I've just got it hooked up like that with the SD2IEC, the keyboard half attached, joystick, and I'll see if everything works. As you can see, the keyboard appears to work and the joystick appears to work. Oh, now that's weird. It's not loading from the SD2IEC adapter. And that's bizarre, it will load tape images but not disk images. So I thought I'd try it with the Ultimate cartridge instead of the SD2IEC, and it's no different, it just hangs on disk images. But on tape images, not a problem. What I've done, I've cleaned out the port, I've checked continuity between the port and the pins, I have reflowed all the pins, I've even reflowed all these pins, and it's no different. So for now I'm going to leave that and concentrate on the case. So I've put the post back on, just knocked up some araldite, and I actually under the microscope put that back together. Made sure each one is where it came from, and the araldite's pretty strong. It's literally going to be cotton buds and isopropyl and filth. I'm going to bite the bullet, socket these and hope I don't do any damage. So the CIAs were in that way round. What I do is swap them around, see if I get any different behaviour. I have swapped the CIAs. I'm convinced now it's not the CIAs. Swapped them around, swapped them with new ones, no difference. What I then did was I traced out the serial port connections right the way through the machine. 3, which is attention, which is like AT, which is like OI, goes to U8 via some resistors and pull-ups down here. So that might be something to do with it. Okay, so I lifted these resistors, they checked fine out of circuit with one leg up. I've lifted this chip, there's the old one. I'm just going to switch it out with the one from the test bench. Swapped out PLA, no difference. And then I thought to myself, well, I know that this was being grossly overvolted because this regulator was putting out 6¼ volts. What I'm going to do, I'm going to socket these chips here. I should really say it, you probably figured it out already, but I'm no expert. If you're watching this video thinking I know what I'm doing, then there are other better people to watch. Okay, so a bit of progress. I've just loaded a D64 image for a SID tester that I downloaded from the internet, and that's actually loaded fine. So I'm thinking it's maybe some games that are high on memory or something where there's a lot more use of certain resources, that's when it's failing. You can see my approach is pretty much just, you know, trial and error. Okay, well, it's loading small programs, it's not loading large programs. And I just thought I'll take a flyer and I'll swap out the CPU, because although it passed on the what do you call it, the dead test cart, I watched some video saying the dead test cart, it uses some weird thing where it fools it somehow so it can test the RAM without having a certain address. I don't know. And I watched that and I thought, I wonder if it's that, so it's not showing up the part that isn't working. I might be talking out my arse. Anyway, I thought, nothing to lose, I'll swap the CPU. So here's the known good working board that I'm trying to open with my left hand. Those are the 2 CIAs and the CPU out of that other machine. So it boots up normally, all appears good. It will run from the SD2IEC. But if I try and load a game, I will pause this and come back, I'll get exactly the same behaviour. So this is now the machine that's been driving me mad, but in it I've put the CPU from the known good test bench. So there we go, that works. So not the most technical approach to problem solving. I did have a go with the schematics, but I ended up basically just trial and error. It does show you if you smack your head against the wall for long enough and you refuse to give up, eventually you'll probably stumble across the issue. Okay, so that's where we've ended up with this machine. That's CPU. I'm just going to keep it and just use it as a test run. It will run small programs, but it's obviously faulty. These are all repaired and packed out a little bit. It is now working. See you later. Cheers, bye.